radar is the last. The last bit is because I do not know the population here, but I was pretty much into DC universe. But and if I am to understand radar plots, I thought this was the best example. But I did not want to disappoint anybody from Marvel side of things. So you can see people like from both universes. You can see folks here now. If you are to look at this plot, you can pretty much easily understand that our dear Spidey is or our dear Spidey is pretty fast in terms of speed. Whereas if you look at intelligence, there's nobody that can beat Batman because that guy is building gadgets and whatnot. Whereas if you look at technique, Superman, like nobody can fly like him. That's like is from a different planet. Now that sort of stuff. Now jokes aside, this is the sort of stuff you can use to evaluate different competitors. Now in here we have a bunch of superheroes, which I hope appeals to you all. It does appeal to me. But you can do that for different product lines, for your competitors, in terms of like if you are operating in, let's say you are freight delivery service. You can compare yourself with your other competitors based on a number of metrics, and you can see where you stack up. You may be maybe you have the most amazing service agreements, but it might be that you have lags, meaning uh, like people do not get immediately your service. They need to book slots days or months ahead. So that's sort of stuff you can evaluate. That having said, if there are no questions, I'll go back to the slides. Are there questions? I see a couple of us here, 18 of us. If not, I'll go back to the slides. Okay. So again, I mean, then again, it's theory. We did actually really see bar charts. We saw line graphs, but now I'll go over this the next 10 minutes. Where are these useful? Bar charts are useful. Like for example, when you're displaying ranking, we saw that where we looked at sales, different companies, how are they, different regions, how are they stacked up, different groups, how different comparisons between different groups in our economic thing that we saw, like different countries, how are they doing with respect to their GDP, and then so on. Line graphs also, it will show you trends over time. Now we saw that in the inflation, not just the inflation, but the GDP example. We had time on the x-axis, and on the y-axis we had GDP. So we can see, look at continuous data such as stock prices, temperature variation, sales trends, GDP, so on and so forth. Yeah, and then pie charts, scatter plots. Pie charts are basically meant to show percentages. If you look at, we saw the waterfall chart, like the contribution of like Maryland, Washington, and their contribution to the overall sale. That plot could have been a pie chart. Scatter plots, again, very similar. Like for example, if you want to show correlations or positive or negative correlations between something like GDP and let's say unemployment, or unemployment and inflation. That sort of stuff you can plot with for each country. It'll be one data point, and you can have a scatter plot, and you can have like small little examples as they are shown here. And then like histograms, we also saw histograms in our economic example. Area charts we did not see, but it is, if I am to zoom in a little bit, you'll see that in the area chart, and a pretty interesting example, profit made by a chain of groceries, and it shows profit distribution based on, let's say, region, and maybe the yellow region is Florida. or Bangalore, for example. If you're looking at India sales and you're looking at the city contributions, maybe the yellow one is Bangalore, the gray one is Mumbai, the orange one is Hyderabad, and the blue one is Delhi, and then so on. So yeah, I mean, what sort of plots? Bubble charts as well. We saw in our inflation example. The bubbles basically, and then you can have on one axis. I mean, you can plot different things. The in bubble charts, the essence generally is the size of the bubble generally gives you some information, and x-axis, y-axis gives you other information. Like if you are to track your over time your GDP for different countries, you can do that in a bubble chart. Now, box plot is something unique. Like for example, if you are looking at different customer segments and their overall spend or their average spend or their upper quartile spend or maximum and minimum, that sort of stuff you can show here. Let's say this is group one, which is age 15 to 30, then 30 to 45, 45 to 55, and 55 and above. If you then try to understand what's the maximum price point of that particular segment and what's the minimum, that's the top and the bottom bar. And then the block in the middle is generally upper quartile, lower quartile, and median. Median is 50th percentile, upper quartile 75th, and then bottom is 25th. So where are those numbers? That's our you can see in a box plot. So yeah, so that's this kind of sort of stuff we can see with box plots. Now radar charts we saw with our superhero example, and heat maps too. We saw the heat map with respect to our economic indicator, the Gini index. But here, for example, you can see in this particular example, this heat map shows the actual heat, like what's the temperature in different parts of the world. And this is most likely during summers in the northern hemisphere, and which is why you can see higher average temperatures in the northern hemisphere. And also, there's more like soil mass in the northern hemisphere than the southern hemisphere. But this basically is kind of a heat map that shows you, for example, like geography, visualizing and trying to understand the heat here, or in finance. Yeah, in finance you have like how the market is reacting. So sector-wise breakdown can be shown in a heat map. Like which sector is hot, which sector is not, where's there positive momentum, where there's negative momentum, like it's called beta, and then so on and so forth. Um, and again, now, I do not know if we have any questions at this point, but then we did look at a couple examples already, but we are also then going to walk through the stuff here.